Hi, everyone. This is Dawn Smith. I'm the managing partner of Smith Klein Smith, and we are so grateful that you took the time to join us this evening to just kind of hear a little bit more about our firm and what to expect during the entire litigation process. First of all, I just want to tell you I'm so sorry for what happened to you to bring you to us, but we're so grateful that you selected our firm to represent you in this matter. We do exclusively nursing home abuse and neglect cases involving assisted living facilities, nursing homes, hospitals across the country. This is all we do. My partner, Curtis Kleinsmith, and I decided that we wanted to do something to really make a difference, especially in an area of law that has such a huge impact on people that we love. So, thank you again for being here with us. And I just kind of want to introduce the folks that are on with us today and let you know what's going to happen. So we have Jacob Runyon. He is a senior associate. He's been with our office for 9 years coming up. He is in charge of our litigation department and has been for quite some time. He's licensed in, I always want to give him more than he has, I think 7 states.
You got it right. Yep.
7 states. He has really kind of been with us and helped us grow this firm. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about litigation in general. Nicola Gray is a nurse and a lawyer. She is licensed in New York. She has also been with us for almost 9 years. She is in charge of our medical legal department and also our pre-litigation department. And she is going to talk to you a little bit about that process and what to expect. And last but not least is Charlie Kirby. She is our Chief Operating Officer. She has been with my partner Curtis for over 20 years. She's done every job in the firm except actually go into court and argue on behalf of our client as a lawyer, but she's definitely supported the lawyers and done everything else in the firm. So she really is somebody that has just really been probably talked to you already at the beginning of your case. She'll talk to you throughout the case, and then at the end of the case, she understands these cases probably better than any of us do. So we're really fortunate to have all of us on today, and we'll be answering your questions at the very end of the presentation. So if you do have a question, just kind of jot it down or put it in the chat box below. There's a little box that says questions. You can just enter those and we'll address those at the end. So we've created a presentation for you, and it's called the life cycle of the case. And that is basically to give you kind of an overview of what to expect throughout the litigation process. We were getting questions about certain people calling and maybe not knowing exactly what part of the firm that they were with, but we have experts in each area of our law firm. And we just want to talk to you a little bit about that so you know what to expect. So let me share my screen with you and we'll get started. Okay, so life cycle of a case is what we call this, and it really is to give you an overview of kind of from the very beginning when you decided to select a law firm all the way through hopefully the end when we'll either go through trial or go through the settlement process and get you compensation for your losses and what you've gone through with your loved one. So first of all, making a decision to file a law firm is really a difficult one and was probably prompted by a broken trust. You trusted a facility to provide care for you or your loved one, and they made all of these representations that the care was going to be good. You probably had to make some really hard decisions before you even made a choice to go to a nursing home or an assisted living facility, and you relied on them to provide care and services that they promised, and they didn't. So going through that to begin with is so difficult. You went through loss and uncertainty, likely because you didn't really know exactly what to do, what your rights were, what had happened. A lot of people don't know exactly what happened and come to us, and they just really want answers. So making a decision is a difficult one to just even hire a lawyer. And most of our clients have really never been through a lawsuit, never thought about filing a lawsuit. And this is really to try to help you, at least give you a thumbnail sketch of what to expect. So, and we know that from talking to all of you, and I think that we have clients here across the country, Indiana, Texas, Georgia, Pennsylvania, California, everybody that contacts us just really hopes for justice for what happened, and hoping that what these steps that they've taken are going to prevent this from happening to other people that are similarly in nursing homes or assisted living facilities or hospitals and not being taken care of. So it took a lot of courage to hire us to do this and to go through this lawsuit. So again, we really thank you for having that courage to stand up against what happened. So just an overview of our departments. We have our intake and investigation department. That's you've already talked to Bianca. That's just the initial information gathering to see if we have a claim that we can pursue on your behalf. We're going to try to get to know your loved one's story from the very beginning, and hopefully that'll carry throughout the time that you are with our firm interacting with different team members. We have our medical legal department and also our pre-litigation department. That's where our investigation continues. It gets a little bit more in depth. So we gather family information, because that really helps us get to know you, your loved one, what everyone went through, and what you have meant to your family or your loved one meant to your family. We gather medical records, and we always have an expert review the case, nursing experts, medical experts, because we have to make sure that we can have expert testimony to move forward with your case. That's one of the legal requirements, regardless of what jurisdiction the case is filed in. The litigation department, you'll hear about a little bit more about this. We file a lawsuit. We conduct discovery. We hopefully go through with a mediation, which is an informal process where we try to resolve your case without having to go before a judge and a jury trial. And then the very end of that is either a settlement or a trial. And we also have the probate department and the administration department. And really, these departments kind of are the bookends of the case, I always like to say. Probate is a process that we have to go through if we cannot reach a family settlement agreement. Some jurisdictions require probate, and it's where there's a determination of the heirs, all of the people that are part of the family that are entitled to any type of settlement proceeds in the case. Lien resolution is also handled. We'll talk a little bit more about liens in the case, which Medicare and Medicaid issue liens if they have to pay money out of pocket for another person's negligence, like the nursing home or assisted living facility. And the settlement administration handles the settlement distribution of the case. And then the very last step is filing a dismissal of the lawsuit, where you can put this behind you and hopefully know that you did the right thing to move forward on behalf of your loved one. So these are the folks that you will probably interact with during the case at some point in time. I tried to pick caricatures of the folks that are on today and some of the other folks in our firm that really kind of reflect who they are and what they mean to our firm. So you've already talked to Bianca. She's in charge of our intake and investigation department. You're going to hear from Nikki. Her hair is sometimes poofier than it is today, just like mine. Mine's decided to both wear them back today. Medical and pre-litigation. Jacob Runyon, that looks just like him, doesn't it? Perfect little depiction. Lori King is our paralegal that really coordinates all of our probate efforts across the country. She's been with us for, I think, coming up on 9 years as well. And then Charlie Kirby. She's got gorgeous blue eyes, just like this. And you'll get to talk to her at some point in time in the case if you haven't already talked to her. And she's in charge of our entire firm and leads our administration team. Okay, so we'll start with the medical. We've already, like I said, you've already gone through the intake process. So we want to give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect from the medical legal department and pre-litigation. So if you could kick us off, Nikki, and maybe just tell a little bit about yourself before you get started.
Yeah, thanks, Dawn, and thanks to everybody who's here. Just looking at some of the names, I know that some of you have spoken to some of our case managers already. So my name's Nikki, as Dawn said, and I've been with the firm, I think, since February 9th of 2018. And prior to finding SmithKline Smith, I was working as a psych nurse. But prior to that, I actually was working in the legal field and kind of took a bit of a detour and went into nursing, but was happy to find my way back to law, which is my first love. And I was happy and sad to be here at the same time. Sad in the sense that prior to coming to SmithKline Smith, I was unaware of this field of law, and sad that there's so many cases and so many people who do need our help. You know, that there's always just very sad to me that we entrust our loved ones with, you know, we put them in the care of skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, and unfortunately they don't do what they're supposed to do, and we commend you for coming forward and holding the facilities accountable. But at the same time, I'm happy to be part of the solution and happy to be part of the team that holds these facilities accountable. As part of our pre-litigation team, I get the chance to speak to many of you and take a look at your cases as they come through the door. Many of you have already spoken to Bianca and given her a little bit of information as to what the case is about. When it comes to the pre-litigation department, as Dawn mentioned, we get a little bit more detail from you. You'll have spoken to a case manager and had an intake meeting. If you haven't already had that, I'm sure that they're scheduled. And during that intake, we'll get a little bit more information about what the case is about. Any updates if your loved one is still living, and if the care or lack of care is still continuing. And we like to do these by video just so that you can see us and so that we can see you and get to know you a little bit more and actually put faces to the names that we have, because, you know, this is very personal to you and it is personal to us, and we do like to see you. During that time as well, the case managers will get some family information, and some of those questions that they ask will seem a little intrusive, but just trust that we want to get as much family info that we use in our family memos for our probate aspect later on if your loved one is deceased due to the negligence of the nursing home. So during that time, our case managers will find out about information regarding who had power of attorney. If your loved one is deceased, we want to get all the names of the children, all the names of close family members, so that we know when we come into filing the lawsuit that we have the right person on the lawsuit. We also then, once we've done that, behind the scenes, we take a look into who owns the facility. As many of you know, most of these facilities are owned by big corporations. So we want to do a little bit of a deep dive into the corporations, make sure that we know who owns what, make sure that we have all the operators of the nursing home on our radar, so that when we hand the case over to the litigation team, they have the right defendants on board. Just to let you know as well, and you'll find this throughout your entire case, that there's lots of collaboration between the departments as your case progresses. So even in the pre-litigation stage, when it comes to doing corporate memos and doing corporate research, we lean heavily on our litigation attorneys, and we ask them to take a look into the corporations and do the research on the corporations. So there's a lot of interplay between the litigation team and the pre-litigation team and Charlie's team as well. Once we've got that done, and actually once we've got the intake memo done and know who the defendant facility is, as well as any subsequent hospitals that your loved one went to or subsequent nursing homes, we have medical records clerks who request medical records and the billing records. We want to know what care your loved one received or did not receive from the medical records. And we also want to know how much they were billed and how much Medicare was billed for the care that they were supposed to receive. When we get the medical records in, we also have nurses on our staff. In addition to myself, there are 2 other nurses who are also attorneys. So with the 3 of us and with our other nurses, we have nurse reports put together. And those nurse reports are based on the medical records. They kind of give a chronology of the care your loved one received, as well as looking at things that are not in the medical record, the gaps in the care. And that's why it's important to speak to you as well at the very start of the case, because you may tell us about an incident that is not even in the medical record because the nursing staff or the facility just didn't document it. Or you might find that there is something documented in the medical record, but the medical record minimizes it a great deal compared to you who was on the scene, kind of boots on the ground, and was able to see exactly what happened and express the gravity of the situation as it was unfolding, and the medical records minimize it. So we definitely do value those intake calls that we do with you to compare the information that we received there to the medical records that might not paint as accurate a picture. Once we've got everything prepared, there are some states that require us to get an expert to review the case and essentially to sign off on the case before we can file it. So we get the records sent off to the expert who reviews the medical records of the facility, medical records of subsequent providers and hospitals, and kind of gives us a yay or nay as to whether the facility breached the standard of care, and puts that in either a certificate or an actual affidavit that is notarized. As part of the pre-lit process as well, we also do lien investigation. And again, here this comes in with the collaboration that I mentioned earlier with Charlie's department, in order to get any liens that CMS may have against the case. It's something that we are required to do, and I'll let Charlie speak to that a bit later when we get to her section. But during the pre-lit process, we do that as well in conjunction with Charlie's department. And I believe that I think that's the end of pre-lit. Of course, once we've done all this and after the case has been reviewed to determine whether we have a viable case, it then gets sent off to the litigation team.
All right. Thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, Jacob, you are on. I guess tell them a little bit, a fun fact about you or a little bit about you and your work with the firm.
Fun fact about myself. I don't know. I went to Machu Picchu this year, so that was kind of exciting. So to be able to get out from the office for a little bit. So that was awesome.
And you survived.
I survived. Altitude at that level is brutal, but I made it. So, but well, thanks. Litigation. I think it's the best part of the case. Litigation is when the case is actually filed with the court. So that's as soon as we petition the court and ask for intervention, that's when litigation begins. So basically, my department, we work very heavily with Nikki's department and kind of getting the case ready. As soon as she kind of gets the green light for getting it filed, we get the case filed. And to get the case filed, it's either called a complaint or a petition, depending on what jurisdiction. And it's basically a long document kind of outlining what the complaints are, how they breached the standard of care, and how it caused injury to you or your loved one. And that's what gets the case going. That document is then sent off to a process server or the sheriff's office, again, depending on your jurisdiction. And that is served upon the defendants. And then they have a certain time period to be able to respond. So most of the jurisdictions, it's about 30 days. It's really about the best estimate. It's a little bit different depending on the jurisdiction, but generally speaking, it's about 30 days. And the defendants, they can challenge the pleadings. The pleading, again, refers back to that lawsuit. So they can challenge it, various parts of the lawsuit. So we can spend sometimes several months having, they call them demurs or different challenges to the pleadings before the case can even get going and they actually file an answer. Soon as we get to the point where they file an answer to the lawsuit, we then can conduct discovery. And discovery is kind of the longest part of the litigation section through the life cycle of a case. And that's where we exchange written questions in the form of interrogatories. We exchange requests for production that asks for tangible documents and things. We will then move on to taking witness testimony. So that comes in the form of depositions. So we will typically take the deposition of the director of nursing, the administrator. If there are particular CNAs or other staff members that might have particular knowledge about what happened and occurred at the facility regarding your case, please let us know. Because a lot of times that's not necessarily documented in the medical records where we get a lot of our stuff. So it's really, we depend a lot on you to tell us that kind of information. So people that you had special relationships, maybe somebody told you that something went wrong there, please make sure to let us know. I know kind of through the intake process, hopefully you've had an opportunity to be able to tell that to the intake staff, but sometimes that may not make it all the way for whatever reason to litigation. So feel free to let the attorney know again, hey, maybe I already told somebody in pre-lit this, but I want to make sure that you know that. So, please let us know. Those kinds of things are really important to the case. You're vital to this part. And then you'll most likely your deposition, whoever is bringing the case, sometimes they will take the deposition of multiple family members. And a deposition is essentially we've got a court reporter and the testimony is taken under oath. It's defendant and our opportunity to be able to ask questions of another party under oath. Then we have to have expert testimony. In all the jurisdictions that we practice in, experts, so medical doctors, expert administrators, expert nurses sometimes are required to be able to opine on the 4 elements of a negligence cause of action. So we have to have our doctors, they will review the records. We will have either their deposition and or a written report of kind of what happened, really in preparation for the next phase, which is mediation or settlement. So pretty much all jurisdictions require that the parties submit to some type of alternative dispute resolution and or mediation. That's typically where we have a neutral third party. Well, basically we agree on somebody and they sit in for about half a day, seeing if we can get the case resolved. A lot of these cases are resolved at mediation or sometime along this path. But then for those that were unable to reach an agreement at mediation, we will try those cases. And that's going to be typically what most people think of litigation, where you've got a jury of your peers, 12 people, that sit and be able to judge the facts and judge the negligence of the facility. And then in some circumstances, some of you may have, it may be inadvertently, but signed arbitration agreements. And arbitration is kind of the same form. It's still litigation, but instead of having a jury of 12 people, we've got an arbitrator that sits as the judge and makes the decision on the case. But just depending on the facts and circumstances, that could be a little bit different in each one of your cases. But I look forward to working with each one of you in the cases. We've got several associates that oversee these cases. Please make sure to keep in contact with them. And if something gets updated or something, feel free to reach out to them. We have a policy here of trying to make sure that we reach out to you in some form or fashion at least every 30 days. So you can expect a call or a text or an email from one of the associates here at the firm at least every 30 days. And if you don't hear from them, please let me know, or Dawn. We'd be eager to know that, to make sure you're getting contact, but look forward to working with each one of you.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, so Lori King, I talked to you about her. You will likely hear from Lori at some point in time. And for example, in Texas, probate almost always has to be done. And that's really a process where a court is in charge of figuring out all of the heirs to anybody that has passed away. And in this context, has passed away as a result of negligence by a facility. So we really do a deep dive into your family history and do a thorough family investigation, because we have to provide that information to the court, or we need that information to be able to prepare a family settlement agreement. It's always better if the family kind of gets along and everybody's behind the lawsuit, but there are always circumstances, or many times, that family members don't necessarily get along, and we have different ways to deal with that. So don't worry if, all of us have, issues sometimes with family. So don't worry about that. The main thing is that you had, like I said, you had the courage to come forward and get justice for your loved one if your loved one passed away. And we will work through all the details according to the law with respect to everything that has to be done on probate. So Lori will ask you some questions. Please try not to be offended by the questions that we're asking. Like I said, we're asking these questions because we're required to do that to make a proper investigation. So we'll ask questions like, was there a will? Was there a will in place that your loved one issued that said exactly what they wanted to happen with their estate? Like I said, sometimes we can resolve a settlement through a family settlement agreement, and we'll talk to you about whether or not that's a possibility in the jurisdiction that we file your case, and the jurisdiction where your case is, like Pennsylvania. Or, for example, I know a couple of folks are on from Pennsylvania. We absolutely have to start probate before we can even file a lawsuit. In California, it's different. Texas, we have to get started with it. So there's different rules that provide what steps have to be taken, and we work with probate counsel around the country, and Lori is really the person that coordinates that. So just like in a regular lawsuit, there's a probate petition that's filed before the court, and that is a determination that the court has to make about the proper parties and the proper heirs. And just like in a lawsuit, we have to gather witnesses and evidence. So that's one of the reasons why we're asking these questions, so we can make sure we have all of that proper evidence before the court. And then in a probate matter, the court has to approve of the settlement in many jurisdictions. So like I said, when you're getting these questions, or if you're getting a call from Lori or Jacob or Nikki, just know we've segregated our firm so that we have specialists in each area focused on the things that they're good at and the things that they love. So like I said, the life cycle of the case is to give you kind of an overview of what to expect, so you don't feel like, why do I have all these different people calling me? It's a good thing you have different people calling you, because they're great at that part of the case, and we're always working together. And then at the very end of the probate process, the court issues letters of administration, or letters of testamentary, which is basically legal authority to act on behalf of the estate and collect settlement funds. So that's just an overview. Like I said, if you have additional questions or have any issues about your family that you want to discuss, we're here for you. Lori can help with that. Nikki can help with that. Me or Jacob, we can help with that. But Lori is going to be the one that kind of coordinates all of the probate proceedings. Okay, and then Charlie's going to talk about the administration department and her role, folks that work with her, their impact on the case from the beginning to the end. Charlie, you should tell a little bit about yourself too. We need a fun fact from you.
Fun fact. Okay. No fun facts. let's see, my background stemmed from medical and Medicare billing specialties. And then I was asked to join the firm to help with part of that. And the days are long and the years are short. So here I am, at 21 years and still here. Haven't killed anyone. No one's killed me yet. So I feel like I'm okay.
Is that the standard? Is that the standard we're setting? No deaths?
Yes, that's our bar right there. So we know. So I've stuck with the firm through many things that we've done, many areas of law, and this one is my favorite. We get to do things that no one else wants to do. And, people don't want to stick their toe in the water on this, but I have two bosses that jumped in without even looking. So we follow them right through it and we trudge through the worst parts of it and we get our families through it and hopefully make an impact with what we're doing so that things change, because we would love to put ourselves out of business. That would be our goal. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. So we keep persevering and doing what we do and try to help as many families as we can. So with that being said, we always ask that we know that you've come to us, whether it's a referral source or you looked us up online, but spread the word that there are people that will help. And that we are willing to talk to anyone about things that happen, because it may be something we can help them with. So make sure you share that with people that that may be going through the same circumstance. Because like I said, we want to make a difference and an impact and help as many as we can. And with you guys being advocates, that's the best way to reach out. In the admin department, sometimes we talk to you at the beginning of the case. You may have talked to me before. If not, someone from my team, we help start the intake process sometimes. But most of the time you'll speak with us in the end, and all throughout the case, you may have one of us reach out for authority, whether it's some authorizations that we need to retrain your subrogation liens, or authority to get some information from any insurance companies. So we may reach out to you for certain things all throughout the case. Of course, we love talking to our families, so we don't mind reaching out as much as possible. Even if you just want to say hello, we'll say hello. But so you may hear us talk about authority, and that just means that if you have gone through the probate process, you will have authority to do that. But otherwise, if it's someone who signed a death certificate or has a power of attorney or who is representing your loved one, they may need to sign some paperwork that we'll reach out and send that to you to sign. But we will absolutely explain everything that you're signing. The lien resolution, as Dawn said, Medicare and Medicaid have the right to subrogate back what they paid out for an injury. We don't like it. We try to avoid it. We try to get around it. But until we find that complete barrier to break through, we're stuck with it. So you may get correspondence in the mail from Medicare and Medicaid. Don't panic. We usually get the exact same things. We just ask that you keep it in a folder for us. That way, if something happened to the mail and we didn't get our copy and you have one, it does save time. You don't have to answer them. You don't have to respond. You don't have to go through any of it. We just ask that you just kind of put it in a little folder, just keep it to the side for safekeeping. But we will handle all of that for you. But don't be alarmed if you do get something in the mail from CMS. We handle your case cost also. When they file the petitions or they have those served or we request medical records, sometimes we are required to pay for those things in advance for your case. We do that knowing that if something happened, we still would be responsible for those payments, but we believe in what we do so much that we are willing to take that risk and pay for things up front because we want to change things and do things differently. So we do jump into that, but those case costs do come out of a settlement. So at the end, you will talk to me about that or one of my team members. You are absolutely welcome to any of that information throughout your entire case. You can call us and ask us about it. We're happy to explain that. We do itemizations. There are no secrets, no hidden agendas, no hidden anything. So we are happy to go through that with you. The settlement agreements, once your case settles, our team will step in here. They will contact you, introduce themselves, and let you know that they're going to be talking to you till the end of the case now, until we send your settlement checks out. Sandra is normally the one who does that. She's fantastic. She's courteous, and she will jump through hoops to get you what you need to make that happen. Sometimes it requires a notarization, sometimes it does not. Your attorney, of course, can answer any questions about the wording or the documents that you receive in that. Otherwise, we're happy to as well. But you will receive those at the end of your case, but you will be given an explanation of everything that you receive and that you're asked to sign. At the end, when that's all done, we send you a settlement check. We send the family members, unless probate authorizes us differently, to put in an estate account. We will send the checks directly to the family members. We call, verify the addresses. So if you know someone has an heir that's for the case, if you know that they've changed an address, or you have any information to help us get that to them throughout the entire case, if you know this information, please let us know. It makes probate and then the end of the case so much easier if we have that information. So if you know that one of your family members, your brother, your sister, dad, mom, is moving or has moved, or they may not have the correct address, please let us know that. Again, it just saves time and it makes it so much less of a hassle for you guys, and we don't have to hound you constantly for those things or that information.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Kind of ending up, I just want to just kind of enforce what everybody's been saying, that really this is a team effort, and this is a partnership with you. We couldn't do this without you, and we understand how difficult it is to kind of go through things and go through facts again and answer these questions. But we have to have that information so that we can really tell your story. So, you know, share your thoughts about your loved one, share your thoughts about what you've gone through and what you saw, so that we can be that voice on your behalf and make sure that the lawyers representing the facilities know exactly what they're, you know, what happened. You know, we have to have your story, as well as the medical records, as well as the witnesses involved in the case, really to have a complete picture about what happened. So we also encourage you to share questions and ideas. I think some people are worried about asking too many questions, or they don't want to mention an idea that they've thought about in the case. I mean, we are better together. Everybody comes to the case with a different perspective. And if you have ideas, please share them with us. We are learning. One of our core values is to be continually learning and growing. So we like to learn and grow, and we are happy to hear your ideas about the case. Please stay in touch with us. Like Charlie said, it is absolutely essential that we can get to you at any moment. Things happen quickly sometimes in a lawsuit. Sometimes it seems like nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden things happen quickly. So if you are, you know, if you move, if you change your number, if you change your address, please make sure you update us. We have a terrific feature called Case Status, which is part of our case management system, and we have a texting function. So if you haven't already been integrated into that system, you can actually text us, and that text goes directly into your case and goes directly to the person that is in charge of your case, depending on what point in the litigation it is. So you can text us, we will text you updates in the case. And like Jacob said, it is our goal to make sure that we're talking to you at least once every 30 days, either by email, text, or a call. And we encourage you to please stay in touch with us as well. We try to make that as easy as possible. Keep your important documents together. So a lot of stress in a litigation environment has to do with finding something and then having to look at it again and maybe not knowing where you put it. You know, if you just have one place where you keep all of the documents that you've gathered for this lawsuit in one file in one place that you know where it is, like all of your notes, all of your photos, all of your billing records, all of the medical records. Like it can be an electronic file on your computer. It can be in your desk drawer, in your nightstand drawer. Just know where you're keeping all of it and keep it all together. It will give you so much more just peace of mind knowing where it is and that you can find it, because you'll have to look at the some of these things throughout the case, especially when you're preparing for a deposition like Jacob was talking about. When you really get to tell your story and your loved one's story, you'll want to look through this again. And I know it's painful, I know it's difficult, but it really helps to make sure that we are telling the complete story and the defendants see the full picture of what happened. Like I said, we cannot do this without you. So thank you so much for coming forward and agreeing to be part of this, and for helping us really make a difference, hopefully, not just for you, but for other people that have been through what you're going through and what may happen in the future. So we appreciate you so much. Stay connected with us. We have social media. That's a good way to hear kind of what's happening, what we do on a daily basis. You can get connected with us throughout any of these platforms as well. So if you just kind of want to know what we're doing, this is a great way to keep in contact with us. And I think we've got we've got a code here that you can just scan. If you scan this little what is this called? Help me out.
QR code.
QR code. I was going to call it something else. So if you scan the QR code, it'll come up with all of our contact information. And if you don't have time to get it right now, you can just ask us. We can send it to you. All of our social media links are on our emails as well. So with that, I will open it up to any questions. If anybody has any questions. So this is, we try to keep this at around 30 or 40 minutes. I know we're a little bit over already. Let's see, we're starting to get some questions. So one is, will CMS have a right to confiscate the settlement for payment? So that is a good question, and that is one that we get asked all the time. So Medicare has the right to get reimbursed for the money they paid out for any injuries caused by the facility's negligence. So depending on how the lawsuit is styled and what the injuries actually are. So for example, if your loved one is hurt at a facility, Charlie, did you want to jump in on that? Did I see you say that? Oh, I thought I saw you jump in and say that you wanted to help answer it. So Charlie is our Medicare and Medicaid specialist, so she might have something to add. But there are certain codes for Medicare and Medicaid associated with certain type of care and treatment. And when we file the lawsuit, we have to select the codes that are involved in that particular injury. So Medicare can only collect or get reimbursed for the money it paid out for the specific injuries that were caused by the defendant's negligence. So it takes quite a bit to kind of gather all of that up, and we will go into more detail for you, but they actually assert a lien, and we are ethically obligated to make sure that that lien is satisfied, and we work with them to reduce it to as low as possible. But yes, it's part of the process that we go through. Let's see, are there any others? Any other questions? We've got a quiet group tonight. Let's see. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, well, I'll leave it for about 10 more seconds. We're all here for you. If you want to ask us questions, feel free to email us, text us. Like I said, those text messages go directly into your file. If you haven't already gotten set up on text messages and you want to, please let us know. A good old phone call works just as well. We don't want to just say you have to email or call. So thank you again for being, taking the time to listen tonight and hear a little bit about what to expect. We hope this has been informative. We do these every 30 days. We'll have a recording if you want to look back on this later. So just let us know, and thank you again. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.